In the Red Bull Stratus jump, Felix Baumgartner broke the world record for breaking the speed of sound in freefall. He jumped from an altitude of 38,964.4 meters and achieved a speed of 1,357.6 kilometers per hour. In this lab, I tested the prediction that Felix Baumgartner will have a higher speed at high altitudes due to lower air density. I utilized the Newton's second law in VPython to update the velocity and position, as well as the density and altitude, in order to prove this. In VPython, we had to set up a bunch of initial conditions. We used the model for density and altitude, which was density equals 473.1 times e to the 1.73 minus 0.00048 times the height. His initial height was 38.964.4 meters, and his weight was 88.5 kilograms, which is the weight of an average 44-year-old man. In my VPython model, I had to account for the drag force that acted on Felix as he fell from freefall. The drag force I determined was dependent on both the air density and altitude, and I used the equation drag equals 0.5 times the density times its velocity times the drag coefficient and surface area as my drag model. I also utilized Newton's second law to update the velocity as he fell from that height. The formula is V final equals V initial plus F net over the mass times the change in time. And F net is given as the weight plus the drag force. This is my VPython code. I enter my initial conditions, the ball's mass, the ball's velocity, and the ball's position, as well as the change in time from 0.1, the force of gravity, as well as the drag coefficient. I have my VPython set up so it would output a CSV file of the ball's velocity, its position, as well as the air density. I then used the data from the CSV file and plotted them in Excel. This is my graph showing the relationship of air altitude versus the density of air. As you can see, at high altitudes you have a lower density of air. You have a low air density, and at low altitudes you have a high density of air. This graph shows Felix's speed during the duration of his jump. As you can see, at smaller times during his jump, he has a high acceleration, which allows him to quickly reach the speed of sound and as well as surpass it. He breaks Mach 1 around 40 seconds, and he has a speed of 372 meters per second. Now, at higher times during his jump, his speed starts to decrease because his altitude is decreasing, the air density is getting higher, which in turn leads to a higher drag force. So, as a summary of my results, at high altitudes the air is very thin, so Felix would endure very little air resistance, allowing him to have a high initial acceleration until he breaks Mach 1. The farther he drops, the density of air will increase and starts to experience a greater drag force, and his speed begins to decrease. Thank you.